25-year-old Paul Logan was born in Shotley Bridge near Consett in County Durham. In 1993, Paul had two children, a daughter, Natalie, who was just a baby, and his son, Michael, who was a toddler. He had been together with his partner for nearly 10 years. They were currently residing in Blackhill, County Durham. To make ends meet, Paul had been working as a delivery driver for the Golden Flower Chinese restaurant in Shotley Bridge, a job he had been doing for the last 2 years. It would be while out making one of these deliveries, however, that Paul's life would be cruelly snatched away from him. Thursday, the 23rd of December 1993. With Christmas almost upon us, Paul was out doing his deliveries as normal. In the early evening, the Golden Flower Chinese restaurant received an order for a Chinese takeaway for delivery to the Blue House Farm. When taking the order, the woman who took the call explained to the caller that she would get the delivery driver to call back once he arrived to take the directions. When Paul Logan arrived back at the takeaway, she explained this to him, and Paul called the customer back and confirmed the address. After the food was made, Paul Logan went out to deliver it in his cream Peugeot car, by which time it was nearly 10 p.m. Blue House Farm was about a 5-minute drive away from the Golden Flower Chinese. However, the call was a hoax and a trap that Paul was walking straight into. When Paul arrived at the Blue House Farm and knocked on the door, the occupant told him that they had not ordered a Chinese takeaway. It can be assumed Paul at this point probably thought something was wrong, and the owners of the Blue House Farm said that they then watched Paul drive off down the driveway. The gate to the entrance of the farm had been left open that evening, so Paul probably didn't need to exit his vehicle other than to knock at the door. The householders' suspicions would be aroused later when they noticed his cream Peugeot car was still at the end of the lane. Within half an hour, the orders at the restaurant were piling up, and Paul hadn't returned. The employees were immediately concerned, and that concern would be elevated when the resident at the Blue House Farm called the Chinese to ask why the delivery driver's car was still at the gate of their property. Immediately, the restaurant called his family and girlfriend to see if they knew where he was, and the family, concerned, drove to the restaurant. All parties headed to the Blue House Farm. The occupier of the farm had also called the police by this point. When Paul Logan's parents and the owner of the Golden Flower Chinese restaurant arrived at the gate of Blue House Farm, they found Paul's car there, with the doors open, empty, and with the lights still on. Paul was found approximately 50 yards from the car. He had been beaten to death. Upon the initial investigation, it was determined Paul had been beaten about the head with a blunt instrument and had died from severe head injuries. The money Paul was carrying was not taken, probably ruling out robbery as a motive. Whatever Paul was beaten with was not found within the vicinity and has never been found, and why Paul was set on that night seemed unclear, but there were prior red flags. Prior to that fateful night, over the previous 3 months, his car had been vandalised several times, and it was suggested that someone might have a grudge against him. Police would also later say that many people had a grudge against him, though I can't find nothing to suggest why. As the investigation got underway and police appealed for witnesses, a young couple would come forward. Between 9:20 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. on that night, the couple said that they had been walking down Benfield Side Road towards Snow Greens Road. It was here they saw a man making a phone call in a phone box with a red Ford Fiesta parked up nearby. The phone box was about 600 yards from the Golden Flower Chinese restaurant and was determined to be the phone box that the hoax call was made from. The couple said that they noticed the man in the phone box, noting that he was trying not to draw attention to himself. The man in the phone box was described as white, about 6 foot tall and 30 years of age, with a muscular build and wearing a black leather jacket, and was said to have a scruffy appearance. He had collar-length dark hair that was receding at the front. There was also a second individual in the car, described as of a similar build, wearing a black leather jacket and also of a scruffy appearance. It would also be released by police that a red or orange Astra had been spotted close to the farm around the time of Paul's murder. The police theorised that after the killers had made the false takeaway order, they had waited nearby, and after Paul had entered the farm, they had shut the gate behind him, and that when he had returned to the gate he had been forced to get out of his vehicle to open it, and that was when he was attacked. Despite numerous interviews with numerous suspects, the case went cold. In 2018, on the 25th anniversary of the murder, detectives renewed their pleas for information, and a £50,000 reward was offered for information. Former Northumbria Police Detective Inspector Dave English urged those who know what happened to break their silence. He said, "We understand a lot has happened over the past 25 years. People have grown up, moved away, and might have forgotten all about this horrific crime. But Paul's family are still here, and still searching for answers. For his loved ones, they will never forget what happened that Christmas, and they have had to spend many more Christmases without knowing the truth." As of 2024, Paul Logan's murder remains unsolved.